In this video we're going to look at groups and look at some of the attributes and the ways in which groups come into existence and the types of groups we may encounter in business. It's a straightforward exercise, this video, so shouldn't pose too many problems, but nonetheless please stop the video from time to time and make your own notes. So let's look at some simple definitions. Well, a group is just a collection of individuals. That's what we mean by a group. Group dynamics, this refers to the ways in which groups interact and also react to changing circumstances. So it's how groups behave, how they interact with each other, and indeed how the groups may interact one group with another group, and looking at changing circumstances. Well, the definition of a group, well, simply this refers to two or more individuals who interact with each other. So when we have two or more individuals, we have a group. Now the classification of groups, well, formal groups for a start. This is established work group as defined by the organization's structure. So within a company we may find formal groups. These are established by the requirements of the job, the requirements of the organization, and these are formal groups. Sometimes the membership of the group is determined by the organization. Some documents will be published, will be discussed by senior management, and groups will be formed to enable certain tasks to take place. These will be quite formal groups. There are two types of formal group. Command groups, a group composed of individuals who report directly to a given manager. So that's one type, a command group, a group composed of individuals who report to a given manager. But there's also a task group, those working together to complete a task. Again, they may report to a given manager, but the work itself may be, in a sense, quite flexible. They're working on something perhaps quite innovative or looking at some change in the organization, and typically task groups are associated with those type of activities. A command group may be one looking more at particular issues associated with set routines, and they will report to a given manager, perhaps a departmental manager. Now the classification of groups, well, informal groups, we just looked at formal, well, we can have informal as well. This form of group is not designed as part of the organization's structure, it does not have rigid structure itself. So an informal group is just a loose collection of individuals who meet and work on tasks which are perhaps not strictly required by the organization. It may be of interest to the group, and the group informally comes together to try and look at some issue and try to make some improvements somewhere, or they will have some sort of theme, some sort of objective, but they're informal. They're not, it's not required, they're not put in position by the management. They just simply meet because they're interested in some particular aspect of work or some particular aspect of the organization. They sometimes come into existence out of a need for social contact. They're informal. The workers, let's say within an organization, may meet informally because simply they want to get to know each other. They work with these people and they see them working every day in the business, and they want to know more about each other, and it could be a way of making friends, for example. There are two types of informal groups. Interest groups, this is a group that works together to attain a specific objective. So it's an informal group, but they're working towards some end. They want to achieve something, they want to deliver something, they have a task and they want to achieve it. But it could also be a friendship group, those brought together because they share one or more common characteristics. It sometimes happens that workers within, say, a factory will work in a particular section, and when work is over, they will meet as a friendship group. It'll be informal. They just meet and they have something in common. They work in the same area. They know what concerns them, and it becomes almost a support group for them. They're able to talk about their work. They're able to also talk about other issues, perhaps family issues or situations which are outside of the workplace. But it's a friendship group. It's a much broader structure. Now, the reasons for the formation of groups. Well, we can look at the reason and the benefits. For a start, one reason could be security. There might be a fear of standing alone, and also they're better able to cope with threats. Groups are better. They're able to defend each other better. They operate as a group. So working as an individual, the individual feels isolated and perhaps more vulnerable. So being a member of a group is more supportive. There could be a status element, could be recognition of status, for example, and the requirement that many people have to be seen to be a member of a certain group, or even within the group to work their way up to become chairman of the group or secretary of the group, or to get some status within the group. There's also self-esteem, develop self-worth and status as a part of the group. So they feel they've achieved something. They're a member of this group, and they should be recognized as a member of the group, and so they feel they've achieved something. They're a part of this wider group. Affiliation. They want to meet others, and they like the idea of belonging to the group and having contact with other members of the group, so they're affiliated to the group. There's also power, derived from the status, and also more is possible because of greater numbers. Working as a part of a group, they're able to achieve more than working as an individual. Generally, groups have more power. And also, as I said earlier, individuals within the group may get promoted within the group to be secretary or chairperson or treasurer or whatever, and there's power associated with that. And then there's goal achievements. Some tasks require group involvement. Sometimes working alone we can't achieve what we want to achieve, but working as a part of a group we can. There's more support, there's more avenues to explore and to exploit, so that goals can be achieved that could not be achieved had the person worked on his or her own. Now, group cohesiveness. Well, cohesiveness refers to the extent to which the group members are linked and motivated to stay in the group. What is it that holds the group together? What's in a sense, the glue that holds the group together? What keeps them going as a group? There must be something which is causing the cohesiveness. So it's important to recognize what that is and to have a clarity about it. It's in their interest to be a member of the group, then that may be the cohesiveness. But there must be something holding them together as a group. So cohesiveness depends on the size of the group. Generally speaking, smaller groups tend to be more cohesive. When groups get very big, they tend to fracture. They tend to break up. They could become subgroups, and eventually the subgroups will leave and become different groups. But when there's a small group, they tend to work together more closely. Big groups are difficult to control. Big groups have a problem. Personalities may seek agreement. So cohesiveness depends to some extent on the personalities of the people involved. If the people involved are very polite and understanding and they're seeking compromise and agreement, then the group may stay together. But if the personalities are very strong-willed and very assertive, the group may break up. Clearly, cohesiveness of groups will depend on the time period they've been working together, spending together. This may cut two ways, of course. Sometimes when people have been in a group for a long time, they're loyal to each other. They know each other and they're friends. They support each other. On the other hand, of course, when they spend a long time together, they may become frustrated with each other. They become annoyed, or they might just simply seek new contacts and a new way of engaging with the group and a freshness. So the cohesiveness may be weakened by time. So it could be strengthened by time, but it could equally be weakened. It depends. Cohesiveness depends on the status of the group and the difficulty of group entry. If the group is seen as important by the wider community, then there's status involved in being a member of the group. So the group will tend to stay together. They're more cohesive. The group is seen as a high status group within the wider society. Also, if it's difficult to get into the group will stay together. If anyone can join, then there's no entry barriers, then the group may not be so cohesive. But if it's difficult to get in, then the people who are inside will enjoy the status of being a member of the group, but they will also mean that the group may become quite cohesive. It'll stay together for a long time. Groups may coalesce when posed with competition from other groups. Sometimes when groups are formed, they're working together and they're having meetings and trying to achieve certain outcomes. If other groups are formed who are related to this, perhaps even in competition with them, then the groups may become even tighter, more determined to win. They've got competitors, so they want to beat off the competitor groups, so they become more cohesive. Cohesiveness can also be promoted by rewards which are given to the group and not to individuals. So when the group achieves something, then all the members of the group will feel happy and loyal to be proud to be a part of that group. So it's very similar to, let's say, a football team winning a cup. Then all the individual members of the club, the football club, will be happy and they'll be more cohesive. So if the prizes were given to individuals, then there may be competition within the group and the group would be weakened. But giving the prize or the reward to the group will lead to more cohesiveness. When a group is physically isolated and under threat, they may become more cohesive as well. If the group is under threat, let's say the group is within a company and the company is about to close down, then the group may become more cohesive. They may get closer and work harder together to ensure the survival of the group, of the friendships that are made within the group, and of the objectives that the group has set itself. Now, the relationship between cohesiveness of groups to productivity. Well, we could look at it in this simple chart where we have the organizational goals. Now, the organizational goals can be very low. They can be just loosely defined, or they could be very specific and quite demanding, high organizational goals. And then we can look at the groups as cohesiveness, in terms of cohesiveness, as high cohesiveness, high sticking together, or low, just very loose groupings. And what we want to do is to link these together. So the first one is, when we have high organizational goals and high cohesiveness, then there'll be a large increase in productivity. The group who are highly cohesive will understand what the organizational goals are, what they want to achieve, and there will be a big increase in productivity as a consequence. They will work hard to try to achieve the organizational goals. If the cohesiveness is low, but there are still high requirements, organizational requirements on the group, there will be a small increase in productivity. They're not very cohesive. They're not working together very well. They're not linking together very well. So there will only be a small increase in productivity. If there's high cohesiveness and low organizational goals, there'll be a decrease in productivity. If the organizational goals are not well specified and well policed and well organized, no matter how cohesive the group are, productivity will fall. They're not sure about what they're doing. They're not sure of the direction in which they're traveling, and they're not very well organized. They're very cohesive as a group. They want to work together closely as a group. They're not sure of what they should be doing. If there's low cohesiveness and low organizational goals, then productivity, in a sense, is unaffected, because it doesn't rate in the first place. It doesn't even get onto the scale. They are not productive. It's low organizational goals. They're not sure what they're doing. They're not sure how they should go about it, and they're not organized themselves. So therefore, when I say it's unaffected, it means it doesn't even start. Productivity is not rated whatever. So cohesiveness reduces internal conflict and enables the attainment of group goals. That's the idea of cohesiveness. When the groups are closely knit, they're able to work together very closely. There's very little internal conflict. They're very cohesive. They're in broad agreement about what to do and how to go about it. So organizational goals can be attained. High cohesiveness promotes satisfaction and reduces absenteeism. It also reduces the member turnover in the group. So when it's highly cohesive, there's a great deal of satisfaction amongst the group members. They're very cohesive. They're sticking together very well, and they want to participate. So there's very little absenteeism. They want to be there. They enjoy what they're doing. They're very cohesive, and they don't leave the group. There's very little member turnover. They don't leave and go off to other groups. They're very cohesive. They're stuck together very well, and they're focused on the tasks that are in front of them. Groups provide security and interdependency for members from outside pressures and dangers. So the whole idea is they come together in groups so as that they can protect their position. They have greater security and greater interdependence. We see this not just within companies, we see it in society. People form into groups for various reasons, to protect their neighbourhood where they live. They don't want the neighbourhood to be damaged by government action or by proposals to change the area in some way. And so the residents within the area will form a group, and they're very cohesive. And they've got very clear ideas about what they want to see. So they have security and they have interdependence as a consequence. We even see it amongst countries. In the European Union, an argument's often made that it's like a club, and they should be cohesive. They should all see the future with a similar vision, and they are more secure because they're a member of this big club, the European Union. So individual countries feel more powerful because they're a member of a very big club. So we see it all the time. It could be within a company, a group come together to try to defend some activity that the company does to make sure that the management don't change it or don't reduce expenditure on that item. They're very coherent, and there's a coherence about the way in which they make their case. So they're defending themselves against outside pressures. And of course, group success fosters cohesiveness. When the group is successful, they feel that being a member of the group was a good thing. They were justified in acting as a group, and that will further increase the cohesiveness of the group itself. Now, let's look at norms. Norms are acceptable standards of behavior within a group that are shared by the group's members. So norms are what are acceptable standards of behavior. Those are the norms of the group. Now, the types of norms. Well, there are performance-related norms, behavioral and appearance norms. So performance-related norms are it's when members of the group perform to acceptable standards. If the members of the group make certain promises or certain pledges, they should live up to what they said. And the behavior and their appearance norms, they should behave according to what is acceptable standards within the group. That's the norm. They should meet what is the norm. Now, committee organisation. Well, a committee is simply a group of people in an organisation formed into a group for the purpose of making or recommending certain decisions. So committees are just groups of people who meet so that they can make decisions and make recommendations, perhaps to management. So within the working environment, committees are quite common. Committees may be composed of workers from the shop floor, they may be composed of middle management, or there may be committees and subcommittees of senior management. It depends on how many senior managers there are in the organisation. But there can be all sorts of configurations. Committees may be brought into existence to look at specific problems or specific suggestions, and the membership of the committee could run right across the organisation. There may be some people off the shop floor, some line managers, some departmental managers, some senior managers. They may all be looking at the same topic to see what is the best way forward. A committee is the most important form of formal group. It's the one where we encounter most frequently. Now, the characteristics of a committee. Well, it's a group of at least 2 people. Well, you can't have a committee with just one, so it's a collective noun, so there must be at least 2 people. Members of the committee may have authority to inquire into an issue. So if the committee is looking at some proposal, then the committee should be able to look into the pros and cons of the proposal. They should be able to look at evidence that's being collected and look at the facts of the situation. It should be able to conduct its own research as well. Usually each member of a committee has 1 vote, and decisions may be determined democratically, although unanimity is usually preferred. So decisions within the committee could be done by members of the committee voting, and the majority will win. But by and large, committees prefer if there is unanimity, if everyone agrees. If someone doesn't agree, then the discussions within the committee may continue for a longer period, and in fact another meeting may be called of the committee, and in the meantime the fears of the one person or the one small group of people who are holding back from supporting the change or the proposal, those fears could be addressed and discussed, and there could be meetings outside of the committee. So when the committee finally meets, they all agree. A committee may have the authority to make a final decision, or alternatively, it may simply have the authority to make recommendations. It depends on the nature of the committee and how the committee was structured, how it was set up. When the committee came into existence, what were its terms? What was agreed? What would the committee do? Would it make changes itself, or would it just simply recommend changes? In business, a committee may be constituted at any level of the organisation. Membership of a committee may be drawn from different departments of the business, depending on the issues under consideration. So within business, committees are quite common. There could be a committee looking at health and safety issues. There could be a committee looking at holidays and holiday entitlements, and a committee looking at the wider social issues of confronting the workers in the organisation. For example, social clubs, or support for creche facilities for children, or whatever it is. So a wide variety of committees may come into existence. In terms of the management of the business, there may be committees looking at new product development. There may be committees that are in existence, and groupings that are in existence, looking at changes in marketing strategy, or all sorts of committees can exist within business. Now, the advantages of committees, well, responsibilities are shared. So it's not one person making the decision, it's the committee. So the responsibility is shared between all the members of the committee. It should lead to better decision making as more members become involved. One person may make a decision but may not take everything into account, may not take a wide variety of circumstances into account. Committees will talk this over, and the chances of something being missed that should have been considered is minimized. So the committees will look at nearly all aspects. They will bring up different points, and different points will be discussed, and some will be accepted, some will be rejected, but at least they're discussed. Specialized skills of members can be used to best advantage. Some committees may be made up from highly specialized individuals, but perhaps individuals cutting right across the organization. If it's a company committee looking at, let's say, new product development, or the proposals to introduce a new product, and a committee is brought into existence, the committee may have engineers, but it may also have accountants and HRM staff. It may have outside expertise brought in, consultants. So it could be very specialized, and it could be that the decisions of the committee are the best way forward. Of course, inexperienced members will gain confidence when serving on committees. Committees should have new members, ones without prior experience of working in committees, and through working with those new members, the new members will gain confidence and will become eventually more active members of the committee. But they should be, in a sense, acculturated. They should be taught how the committees work and what are the issues within the committees, and they should learn how committees function and how to make a contribution and how to optimize the work of the committee. Matters, as I said, may be examined in more detail. It's the case that there'll be a wide variety of experiences within the committee, and problems and issues will be looked at from different angles. Whereas one person working on his or her own may miss something, the committee may be very thorough in the way it looks at issues. The organisation is able to complete its business more efficiently by delegating some work to committees. Sometimes organisations may use committees to move the work along. There may be, as I said, committees that deal with health and safety, for example, within the workplace. And the committee then has responsibility to ensure that the working environment is safe, and is able to ask for opinions from people working on the shop floor and in different parts of the organisation regarding health and safety. So the rest of the management are able to focus on other issues. They don't have to consider in detail all of the issues associated with health and safety, or with product development, or the social aspects of work, or whatever it is. Now, the disadvantages of committees. Well, appointments may be political as opposed to merit. Sometimes people want to get onto committees for status reasons or for power reasons, and they're not perhaps the best people to have on the committees. So committees, membership of the committees should be carefully worked out to ensure that the right people are on the committee. The organisation may be willing or intimidated to challenge the decisions of expert subcommittees. Sometimes committees form subcommittees to go away and look at certain issues, and the subcommittee reports back to the main committee. Well, if the subcommittee was made up from experts, from very talented and experienced individuals, and then they report back, then the main committee may be very reluctant to challenge them, because they don't want to look like they don't know. They don't want to feel intimidated. They feel intimidated, but they don't want to feel that they are exposing their own ignorance in public. So the main committee may just simply accept the findings of an expert subcommittee. Whereas in truth, the main committee should discuss every issue and make sure the right decision was considered by the subcommittee. Decision-making processes can become lengthy. Sometimes within committees, it's as if members of the committees just want to talk. They want to talk for a long time, and that slows up the progress of the committee and the work that the committee does. So good chairmanship is required to ensure that speakers at a committee meeting stick to the point and make relevant points. Don't just talk and waste time. It may develop a bureaucracy, and meeting may become the norm as opposed to managerial decision making. There's a problem that committees can become very bureaucratic. They can take on a life of their own, and they will start to require resources, secretarial resources, and they will need to have the documents published, and they will need time off from work perhaps to have more meetings, and they will take the resources of the organisation, require rooms and facilities for meetings, and it becomes very bureaucratic. And having the meeting will become the norm. This is the normal way for the business to work. Whereas in fact the committee should be looking at particular issues that were within its remit. They were not there just simply to have meetings. But sometimes committees have meetings even though there's very little to discuss. They just feel the need, they should have a meeting, and there's very little on the agenda, very little of substance to discuss. And of course, committees tend to perpetuate themselves. They tend to go on and on. They don't like to give up. They like their committee to be in existence and to have a function. So sometimes if the raison d'etre for the committee has passed, the committee has done its job, and the problem or the issue that brought it into existence has now been resolved, but the committee will still want to continue to inquire into other areas or into other factors. It's as if committees like to exist. But of course that can be a waste of resource, a waste of time, and it can be unduly bureaucratic and time wasting and expensive. So these were some ideas about groups and committees, different types of groups, different types of committees, and issues that are associated with groups and committees. Well worth looking over, and as I said earlier, make your own notes, pad out your notes as well. But one thing for sure, whatever occupations we go into, we will always encounter groupings, formal, informal. We will always encounter committees, chances are, and the issues that we've discussed here will be relevant in these cases. So let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.